Good afternoon to you all. Today we are going to discuss the topic pharmacodynamic 2, topic being mechanism of drug action. Coming to the topic mechanism of drug action, on the basis of molecular structures and the nature of transduction mechanisms, receptors are classified into following types. Come to this schematic diagram in which classification of mechanism of drug action has been done. Here broadly the mechanism of action of drug has been divided into 7 groups. First being inotropic receptors, second transmembrane receptors linked to intracellular enzymes, third being transmembrane receptors without intrinsic enzymatic activity, fourth being enzyme acting as receptors, fifth one intracellular receptors, which has been further subdivided into cytosolic receptors and nuclear receptors. Next, G protein coupled receptors denoted by GPCR has been divided into mainly 3 subgroups, that is GS, GI and GQ. GS stimulates membrane-bound adenyl cyclase enzyme. GI inhibits membrane-bound adenyl cyclase enzyme. GQ activates phospholipase C. Coming to the next group, that is voltage-gated ion channels. Examples being sodium ion channel, potassium ion channel and calcium ion channels. Lignocaine inhibits sodium ion channels. Sulfonylurea anti-diabetic drugs inhibits potassium ion channels. Nicorandil, an anti-anginal drug, opens potassium ion channels. And next, verapamil and nifedipine are calcium channel blockers. Coming to the first part, ion channel receptors, also known as ligand-gated ion channels or inotropic receptors or receptor-operated ion channels. These receptors are present on cell membrane and are coupled directly to an ion channel. Binding of an agonist to the receptor opens the ion channel, allowing the passage of specific ions across the plasma membrane. Depending on ion channel, depolarization or hyperpolarization occurs. Antagonist closes the ion channel by preventing the agonist receptor binding, while inverse agonist closes the open channels. Examples of inotropic receptors are nicotinicholinergic receptors, GABA A receptors, glutamate receptors, and glycine receptors. Isoforms of nicotinicholinergic inotropic receptors are expressed in the CNS, autonomic ganglia, and at the neuromuscular junctions. Look at this diagram showing mechanism of actions of inotropic receptors. First diagram, as soon as agonist binds to the receptors, the ion channels opens, allowing the ions to enter, resulting in hyperpolarization or depolarization, and that ultimately produces cellular effects. In second diagram, on right hand side, antagonist has occupied or is bounded with the inotropic receptors. So ligand is not going to bind this inotropic receptors. So ion channels, in the absence of receptor agonist binding, ion channels closes, so permeation of ion is blocked. So there would be no cellular effects. Coming on right hand side, showing nicotinic cholinergic receptors. They are pentameric structures consisting of 2 alpha subunit, 1 beta subunit, 1 gamma subunit and 1 delta subunit. In first diagram, the channel is closed, but as soon as acetylcholine binds with the alpha subunit of the nicotinic cholinergic receptors, channels opens and 2-acetylcholine binds with the 2 alpha receptors, and then further events occurs. In this descriptive diagram, inotropic receptors and their different subgroups has been described, and they are divided into mainly 3 types, that is nicotinic cholinergic receptors present in CNS, autonomic ganglia and neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junctions, that is nicotinic cholinergic receptors, consists of 2 alpha, 1 beta, 1 gamma and 1 delta of 4 different subunits. Allows passage of sodium ion, potassium ions. Example is rocuronium. Autonomic ganglia, pentameric autonomic ganglia, also pentameric structures, but it consists of only 2 subunits, that is 2 alpha subunit and 3 beta subunits. Allows passage of both sodium and potassium ions. So now we are confirmed that nicotinic cholinergic receptors differs in their structures depending on their site of distribution. At neuromuscular junction, they consist of 4 subunits, while in autonomic ganglia, they consist of only 2 different subunits, although both receptors are pentameric in structures. Coming to the next subgroup, that is excitatory glutamate receptors at CNS synapses. These receptors are subdivided into 3 different groups. These are AMPA, alpha amino hydroxy methyl isoxazole propionic acid, a pentameric structure consisting of 5 subunits, alpha, beta, gamma, delta and rho. They allow passage of sodium ion and potassium ion. Second subgroup being NMDA, that is N-methyl D-aspartate receptors, also a pentameric structures, and this allows passage of sodium ion, potassium ion and also calcium ion, in contrast to AMPA. Third being candidate receptors. This is also a pentameric structure, and it also allows passage of only sodium ion and potassium ions. Coming to the third subgroup of inotropic receptors, that is inhibitory glycine and GABA receptors. They are also pentameric structures. On stimulation of these receptors, chloride ion channels conduction occurs. That leads to hyperpolarization and so inhibits excitability. Examples being benzodiazepines, barbiturates, ethyl alcohol and general anesthetic. The pentameric channel consists of 4 different subunits, 2 alpha, 1 beta, 1 gamma and 1 delta in the neuromuscular junction, or 2 different subunits, 2 alpha and 3 beta in autonomic ganglia. Each alpha subunit has identical acetylcholine binding site. The different compositions of other three subunits between the neuronal and neuromuscular junction receptors accounts for the ability of competitive antagonists such as rocuronium to inhibit the receptors in the neuromuscular junction without effect on the ganglionic receptor. Each subunit of the receptor contains a large extracellular N-terminal, 4 membrane spanning helices, one of which lines the pore of channel, and an internal loop between helices 3 and 4 that forms the intracellular domain of the inotropic receptor. The pore opening in the channel measures about 3 nanometer, whereas the diameter of sodium ion or potassium ions is only 0.3 nanometer. So there is easy conductance of these ions through the pore. Ligand-gated ion channels do not possess the very sharp or very good ion selectivity found in most voltage-gated ion channels. That is why stimulation of nicotinicholinergic receptors allows passage of both sodium ion and potassium ions. The major excitatory neurotransmitter at CNS synapses is glutamate. There are 3 types of inotropic glutamate receptors: AMPA, NMDA, and kainate, named after the ligands that selectively activate them. Structurally, they consist of 5 subunits. Activation of these channels with glutamate markedly increases sodium ion and potassium ion conductance, leading to depolarization. NMDA receptors are less ion selective because their stimulation increases sodium ion, potassium ion, calcium ions conductance, with calcium ion signal being used for additional signaling events. Over 1/3 of synapses in the brain are inhibitory. The major inhibitory neurotransmitters are glycine and GABA. Glycine and GABA receptors have 5 subunits: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and rho. These receptors have a ligand binding domain and pore forming helices. Stimulation of these channels increases chloride ion conductance, which hyperpolarizes the cell membrane and inhibits excitability. GABA A receptors are targets of important sedative hypnotic drugs such as benzodiazepines and barbiturates, and are also important in the mechanisms of ethanol and GA. General anesthetic. A small intracellular ligand-gated ion channels are also present in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Example: calcium ion-induced calcium ion release from sarcoplasmic reticulum. Such types of receptors are called ryanodine receptors, denoted by RYR. RYR stimulator is caffeine and its inhibitor is dantrolene. Coming to the next subtopic, transmembrane receptors linked to intracellular enzymes, also known as enzyme-linked receptors. These are a diverse group of physiological membrane receptors with an extracellular ligand binding domain and intracellular domain with enzymatic activity. These receptors include following subtypes of different receptors. First being tyrosine kinase linked receptors with intrinsic enzymatic activity. Examples are epidermal growth factors, insulin receptors which contain intrinsic tyrosine kinase activity in the cytoplasmic domain of the receptors. Other examples are nerve growth factors, fibroblast growth factor, vascular endothelial growth factors, and ephrins. With exception of insulin receptors, all are composed of a single polypeptide chain. Activation of growth factor receptors leads to cell survival, cell proliferation, and differentiation. Activation of ephren receptors leads to neuronal angiogenesis, axonal migration, and guidance. Now look at this diagram showing mechanism of action of transmembrane receptors having intracellular enzymatic activities. In this diagram, two different diagrams A and B has been shown. A representing tyrosine kinase enzyme linked receptors, while B denotes or depicts guanylyl cyclase enzyme linked to intracellular domain of the receptors. Coming to the first diagram A, in the normal stage, the receptors remains in inactive form, and it remains in inactive form until a ligand or agonist comes and binds to it. And during resting phase or inactive phase, tyrosine kinase enzyme present in the intracellular or cytoplasmic domain remains in inactive form. As soon as agonist binds to the receptors, the tyrosine kinase bound to the cytosolic domain of the receptors becomes active, and immediately after activation, these receptors combine to form dimers or homodimers. Look at the next step, dimerization of the receptors and autophosphorylation of tyrosine residue present in the tyrosine kinase has been shown here. And a cytoplasmic binding protein GRB2 moves to the activated tyrosine kinase after formation of homodimers, and that leads to further events. So here I have seen that immediately after formation of homodimers followed by phosphorylation of tyrosine due of the tyrosine kinase enzyme present in the intracellular domain of the receptors, cytoplasmic binding protein called GRB2 proteins comes and takes part in the further events in the presence of different intracellular signaling proteins to ultimately produce cellular response. In diagram B, enzyme bound to the cytoplasmic domain of the receptor is guanylyl cyclase, and in this event cyclic GMP is formed from GTP, and this cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase, the cyclic GMP in the presence of cyclic GMP dependent kinase again ultimately produces cellular response. So the two different types of transmembrane receptors without intrinsic enzymatic activity, first being cytokine receptors and second being toll-like receptors. Cytokine receptors, for these ligands are interleukins and cytokines. Effector system being JAK-STAT molecules and soluble tyrosine kinases. Examples are interferons. And in cases of toll-like receptors, ligands are bacterial products and lipopolysaccharides. Effector systems being myeloid differentiation proteins 88, MYD88, neurotropic factors kappa B, and receptors for TNF alpha. Now look at this diagram showing activation of cytokine receptors. Agonist binds to the cytokine receptors at the extracellular domain, and this leads to conformational changes in the receptors, which causes activation of intracellular domain of the cytokine receptors. Immediately after activation of intracellular domain, homodimers are formed, where two activated cytokine receptors come together and combine to form homodimers. Homodimer combines with cytosolic Janus kinase protein called JAK. Phosphorylation of tyrosine residues of Janus kinase bound to internal domain of receptor occurs, and after this, STAT molecule combines with Janus kinase which has been phosphorylated. It means STAT molecules comes and combines with phosphorylated JAK bound to the intracellular domain of the receptors. After which phosphorylation of STAT molecules occurs, and this leads to dimerization of phosphorylated STAT molecules, and STAT molecules forms STAT dimers, and immediately after formation of STAT dimer moves to the nucleus, where regulation of gene transcription occurs. Now coming to the next point, enzymes acting as receptors. Some enzymes act as receptors for many drugs. These are divided into two subgroups: extracellular receptors and intracellular receptors. Examples of extracellular enzyme receptors: ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme, acts as receptor for ACE inhibitor drugs like enalapril, ramipril, etc. Next example is acetylcholine esterase enzyme, which acts as a receptor for acetylcholine esterase inhibitor drugs like neostigmine, etc. Other subtype is intracellular receptors, examples being dihydrofolate reductase, which acts as a receptor for trimethoprim and methotrexate. Now coming to the next point, intracellular receptors. These receptors are further divided into two subgroups: cytosolic receptors, those intracellular receptors which are present in the cytoplasm, and nuclear receptors, those intracellular receptors which are present in the nucleus. Cytosolic receptors present in the cytoplasm remains in inactive state as well illustrated in this diagram. Look at this diagram. Cytosolic receptors present in the cytoplasm remains in inactive state. It has three different functional parts shown in this diagram as sites 1, 2 and 3. Site 1 is the ligand binding site. Site 2 is DNA binding site, and site 3 is transcription activating domain. Site 3 contains inhibitory proteins, namely heat shock protein 90, heat shock protein 70 and immunophilin. Examples of cytosolic receptors are glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, estrogens, progestogens and androgens receptors. As soon as glucocorticoids binds with site 1 of the receptor, some conformational changes occurs in the receptor, resulting in dissociation of inhibitory proteins from site 3, due to which the cytosolic receptors now become active. Soon after that, activated two receptors combine to form homodimers. Now homodimers translocate into the cell nucleus. Once inside the nucleus, these homodimers transactivate or transrepress the genes by binding to the positive or negative glucocorticoid responsive elements denoted by GRE in this diagram. Transactivation or transrepression occurs due to respective joining of co-activators or co-repressors. Alteration in gene transcription results in a change in the desired protein expression. Examples of intracellular nuclear receptors include receptors for thyroid hormones, vitamin D, vitamin A and peroxisomes. Proliferator activated receptor PPR, which act as a lipid sensor and modulates lipid metabolism within the cell. As soon as ligand binds to this nuclear receptor, receptor becomes active to combine with nuclear retinoid X receptor denoted by RXR to form a heterodimer such as thyroid hormone receptors plus RXR or peroxisome proliferator activated receptor plus RXR. Due to slow process of gene transcription, drugs targeting these receptors take longer period of time for the onset of action. It takes minutes to hours, while ion channels act fastest and it takes only few milliseconds, while G protein coupled receptors requires few seconds to few minutes for its onset of action. A tyrosine kinase receptors takes minutes for its onset of action. Now look at this diagram showing mechanism of activation as well as action of G protein coupled receptors. G proteins are bound to the inner surface of the plasma membrane, forming a complex with the receptors. They are called G proteins coupled receptors. G proteins act as signal transducers. That is, they convey the information to the effector system when an agonist binds to the GPCR. G proteins consists of three different subunits, alpha, beta and gamma, and all these three subunits are bound together, so they are called heterotrimer. Look at the diagram. Agonist binds to G protein couple receptors. GDP on alpha subunit converted to GTP as soon as agonist binds to the receptor. GTP bound alpha subunit dissociates from beta gamma subunits to form GTP bound alpha subunits and beta gamma subunits. GTP bound alpha subunit regulates effectors like adenyl cyclase, phospholipase C, and gives to response directly after this step, and in some cases by GTP hydrolyzed back to GDP in some few steps. Alpha subunits joins with beta and gamma subunits. Alpha, beta, gamma subunits now coupled back to receptors to form heterotrimers. Coming to the next slide, GPCR transducer effector systems. Following types have been known. First 1A adenyl cyclase cyclic AMP system transduced by stimulatory G proteins GS. GS stimulates adenyl cyclase activity, leading to increased synthesis of cyclic AMP. Examples being beta receptors, H1 receptors, 5-HT receptors, and dopamine 1 receptors. 1B adenyl cyclase cyclic AMP system transduced by inhibitory G proteins GI. GI inhibits membrane-bound adenyl cyclase activity, resulting in decreased synthesis of cyclic AMP. Examples being alpha-2 receptors, M2 receptors, opioid receptors, and D2 receptors. Next point, GQ phospholipase C inositol phosphate systems. Here G protein Q activates phospholipase C, leading to increased synthesis of IP3 diacylglycerate and increased calcium ion entry. Examples being alpha-1 receptors, M1 receptors, and AT1 receptors. Coming to the third point, ion channel regulating G proteins without using any second messengers. Examples in cardiac muscles, M2 receptors use GI as transducers to directly enhance potassium ion permeability, causing hyperpolarization of cells and thus inhibiting electrical activity of heart. Opioid analgesics also decrease neuronal excitability by opening potassium ion channels by this mechanism. Coming to the fourth point, G protein guanylyl cyclase cyclic GMP system. GPCR also activates guanylyl cyclase that converts GTP to cyclic GMP, which stimulates cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase. It causes dilation of vascular smooth muscles by dephosphorylation of myosin light chains. Example being sildenafil used to treat erectile dysfunction. Now look at this diagram showing G protein couple receptors GS or GI mediated through adenyl cyclase enzymes, and that is once the ligand binds to the receptors or agonist binds to the receptors, G proteins, that is GS or GI, is activated, and this leads to effectors activations or effector being adenyl cyclic enzyme, which causes production of cyclic AMP for ATP. And this cyclic AMP has two fates. First, it is metabolized or broken down by the enzyme phosphodiesterase to 5-AMP, while other function is conversion of inactive protein kinase by inducing phosphorylation to active protein kinase. And fate of protein kinase, again, it leads to the release of calcium ion from the intracellular storage sites that causes increased force of contraction of heart muscles. Other functions are increased lipolysis, decreased glycogen synthesis, and increased glycogen breakdown to glucose. Now coming to the next point, look at this diagram showing the protein couple receptors acting through the second messengers. So look at this diagram. When ligands like vasopressin binds to the GQ receptors, G protein couple GQ receptors, then stimulation of phospholipase C enzyme, which causes hydrolysis of phosphatidyl inositol 4,5 diphosphate PIP2, which is the phospholipid component of plasma membrane. On hydrolysis, PIP2 splits into two second messengers, diacylglycerol DAG and inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate IP3. DAG remains confined to the membrane, while IP3, being water soluble, diffuses through cytoplasm, where it triggers the release of calcium ion from storage vesicles. The raised cytoplasmic concentration of calcium ion promotes the binding of calcium ion to calmodulin, denoted here in this diagram by CAM, which is a calcium binding protein which regulates the activities of various enzymes, responses like contraction, secretion, and enzyme activation, etc. Diacylglycerate DAG activates a phospholipid and the calcium sensitive protein kinase C, PKC, which then phosphorylates specific protein enzymes, leading to response, release of hormones, increase or decrease in neurotransmitter release, and inflammatory responses. As in the cyclic AMP system, multiple mechanisms exist to damp or terminate signaling by phosphoinositide pathway. IP3 is inactivated by dephosphorylation to inositol and then to phosphatidyl inositol monophosphate PIP, a precursor of PIP2. DAG, on the other hand, is either phosphorylated to phosphatidic acid and finally converted back to phospholipids, or it is deacetylated to arachidonic acid, a precursor of prostaglandins. Calcium ion is removed from the cytoplasm by calcium pump through active transport. Now coming to the next point, that primarily there are three G protein effector systems. First being adenyl cyclic AMP system, Second, phospholipase C-inositol phosphate systems. And third being ion channel linked G protein coupled receptor systems. Till now, we have discussed first two systems. Now we will discuss third part, that is ion channel linked GPCR. It is further subdivided into two types. Ion channel linked GPCR without using any second messenger. They directly control the ion channel functions. Examples: in cardiac muscle, M2 receptors enhance potassium ion permeability, causing hyperpolarization of cells and inhibiting electrical activity. Other example is opioid analgesics that reduce neuronal excitability by opening potassium ion channels by this mechanism. Second type is GPCR having guanylate cyclase cyclic GMP system. GPCR also activates guanylate cyclase enzyme which converts GTP to cyclic GMP, a second messenger, which stimulates cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase. It causes dilatation of vascular smooth muscle by dephosphorylation of myosin light chains. Examples being sildenafil, a drug which is used to treat erectile dysfunction. Coming to the next point, that is voltage gated ion channels such as sodium ion channels, potassium ion channels and calcium ion channels. Examples: lignocaine inhibits sodium ion channels, sulfonylurea inhibits potassium ion channels, nicorandil opens potassium ion channels. Other examples are calcium channel inhibitors verapamil and nifedipine.